Hi, I'm JANESHIA Adams-GINYARD, and you are watching the Break It Down show.
That's how we do it around here. We just do stuff just that easy. Uh, Janisha is an actress, a stunt woman, and look, anybody who lives and works in Hollywood usually has slashes until they finally like make enough money. And one of the slashes, they're like to forget all the other hobby stuff, right? But what other slashes are in your list of things that you're like, you know what? I also do this a little bit too.
I also write, I also direct, and I'm a motivational speaker.
All right, yeah, in the true Hollywood fashion. And you grew up, you're a Southern California girl.
I am SoCal all the way. Cerritos. I went to Gahr High School. Go Gladiators. So, yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you're on the show because you're Emmy nominated. Look at you.
Thank you. I am Emmy nominated. Oh, can I show you my medallion? Look at
Please.
my 2001 Emmy nominee.
Look at that.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Did you know a couple of years ago that you'd be sitting there with a nominee medal from the Emmys?
Never in a million years would I have thought that. Like, never. Like this, I'm still ecstatic. I'm jaw dropped. I actually found out about my nomination when I was working. I'm on location right now on a project, and I came back to my chair and my phone was going crazy. And I had to literally Google and ask someone, like, what is going on? I kept saying, congratulations, how exciting. And I'm like, what are they talking about? But I'm ecstatic. I'm just truly blessed. I'm so humbled. I feel like my hard work has paid off. Yeah.
In the business that you're in, the business that we are in, I mean, heck, I'm in show business in some ways too, right?
Yes.
Hard work is not always recognized. You can't always hard work your way into, I mean, look, you can hard work your way into getting jobs, but
Yes.
Emmy nods, that's different. What do you attribute this to?
I really attribute it to, honestly, my faith plays a huge part in it, because that's what has allowed me to stay the course. Because with our industry, you hear no's a lot, but it's the determination, the persistence, the faith and trust that keeps you going. And then you add that to the hard work, the constant working out, or whatever it is that your craft is. For me, stunts and acting. So going to acting classes. The whole pandemic came in, threw a little bit of a wrench and curveball in everyone's lives. But I still stayed with my acting. I was doing online classes. So I just think that foundation of just being persistent and adamant of not giving up on the dream that you have. And then the light at the end of the tunnel becomes an Emmy nomination. I'm just really happy and elated.
Let's talk about why you got an Emmy nomination. What project was it, and what do you think made it special?
So my Emmy nomination is for the new category this year, which is Outstanding Stunt Performance. The Academy is recognizing individual stunt performers, and they've never done that before. So it's absolutely amazing. It's groundbreaking. It's history. And my Emmy nomination is for my work on Lovecraft Country, which was HBO. And awesome. I think what made that really special was the particular episode is titled I Am. And Hippolyta, which is the character played by Anjanou Ellis, who is also up for an Emmy for supporting actress in a drama series, literally established this character as being just strong and just fierce. So she has this epic battle scene where she goes back in time and she fights Confederates. And I mean, there is blood. There is blood. She's blessed. She does wire work. So I did fighting, I did wire work, I did driving. And I just think all of that group together, showing this particular character in so many forms and fears and just this cutthroat and strong, I think that really contributed to the nomination.
Let's back up and let's talk about the work it takes to get to where you're at, because you were mentioning it. There is a lot of money. There's a lot of time. There's a lot. You got to go out and you have to be able to do wire work. You have to be able to do the kind of fight scene. Yes, I can stunt drive. Yes, I can act.
Yeah.
Talk about the time. Look, and you have to eat right every day. You have to work out. You have to work out in a way that
Totally.
makes you employable. Let's talk about all of the things that go into being marketable in Hollywood, because we think it's easy. It's easy when you're in front of the camera, maybe, but
Mhm.
boy, oh boy, you know.
It's so much work that goes into it, and it's a part of the process, right? So, like you said, when I first started out in the industry, I didn't really know what stunt was. Stunts were. I started out as an actress first. So making my transition into stunts, I started taking private tumbling lessons, gymnastics to get my air awareness, how to roll properly, just things that I had to become a student of my sport, which was stunts. And I'm action acting, right? So I'm taking acting classes as well because I'm still on camera. When I'm stunt doubling, I'm paying attention to my actress, making sure that I am a smooth transition for the editors when it's time for the finished product, right? So what does she lead with? What's dominant? How does she move? How does she walk? All of those things. Eating right. Oh my God. I'm very big into keto. I'm a keto enthusiast. And so eating is very big for me and just a part of, my body is my instrument. So I have to make sure that I'm right inside and out, physically and mentally, getting enough sleep, making sure that I'm surrounding myself in environments that breed positivity and light, not negativity. So all of that, all of that stuff is what I've used to help me become the performer that I am.
What does that take time wise per month? I mean, when you look at a week or whatever, I mean, because that sounds nonstop. I mean, obviously the eating thing never quits,
Yeah.
right? That's every meal you've got to, you can have splurge days or whatever, but the other stuff,
Yeah.
it's just got to be a constant attack too.
I just consider it, this is my lifestyle. I literally look at it, this is the lifestyle that I have to live by. Yeah, we have cheat days sometimes because I love donuts. I love Kit Kats, but I definitely know I have to have some type of self control because I can't just eat a bunch of that and then think I'm going to be able to perform at the highest level possible. It's just not going to happen. And for Lovecraft, I worked on that project, I want to say almost like 5 weeks. The choreography for the fight sequence was a lot. It was a lot of time. I did single-handed sword work. So just choreography, you want to make sure you're able to function at that high level. Because when the camera's rolling, you're doing take after take after take after take. And you want to make sure you're accurate and fierce and giving the same energy every time. You don't want to slack. You don't want to be inconsistent. So I would say you have to make it a lifestyle. It can't be something that you just dibble and dab in. It needs to be a consistent type of mindset. Yeah, because this is going into my 11th year doing stunts, going into my 11th year. So it's a lifestyle.
Another aspect, we've had other stunt people on the show before, and one of the
Cool.
things that we don't realize is just how good stunt people are as they, 11 years, like, look at you, you're adorable, you're a rookie, right? Like, there's people that have done this for 40 years and they're so damn good and their bodies are broken, but also well cared for. And you see these guys are 60 and you're like, look at your arms. So talk a little bit about the people you get to meet who work on these gags with you and what it takes to be at the top of the profession, because we don't you guys don't nearly get enough credit for what you all bring.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I would like to think that based on all the noise that was created with recognizing stunt performers, we are now starting to get the recognition. But I will say that I've worked with some actresses that just really continued to show me love when I would double them, like Michaela Gibson, Ingenue Ellis. I mean, Ingenue is who I doubled on Lovecraft. I mean, super like supportive and skillful and supportive of my skills. And so you have actors out there who are actually on their front line with stunts saying, hey, we need to recognize these performers. Like, they're doing death defying stunts. We're driving, doing 180s, going backwards, wire work, high falls, diving, all these different things that bring these movies and projects to life. Dialogue is great, but God dog in action is amazing. So I think people will now be able to really pay attention to it, knowing that we're starting to get some recognition on a global scale.
When you see a movie, and I guess really procedurals too, but when you see a movie, it really comes to light just how many people. I mean, getting a movie made is impossible. Now you have to coordinate what 4,000 people, subcontractors. OMG, so many
Yes.
different things and people. And like Tom Cruise wants to do his own stunts, and on occasion breaks his ankle, and he's like, "Well, we're gonna have to work through my broken ankle because everybody here's got to get paid."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so many people on the sets, on the projects. And then when you're talking about the action part, you have the whole stunt team, right? So you have like the stunt coordinator, the fight coordinator, the fight choreographer, all the different, I was gonna say goons, all the different people playing those bad guys or whatever, like all the additional stunt performers. So it definitely takes a team. You have your rigging team, the people that are running the wires, and it's a lot. It's a team. It takes a village. Isn't that like a parable or saying? People say it
Yeah,
literally takes a village. It takes a village to make these projects happen. But boy, oh boy, when they're done, they're amazing.
they are amazing. They are
Yeah.
amazing. And I think the how the village operates has evolved. Good and bad. I mean, there's like the good old
Yeah.
days. There's things about that are good, but there's also the good old days and the things that are bad about that. We got a couple of directors on the show, but one of them was saying that when you try to get people to do things, you can't just use like a football coach attitude, like grab your shit, let's go. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
you've got to handle these things differently now than when you used to be able to, because it's a lot less, I guess, authoritative, and we've evolved in that way. Have
Yes.
have you witnessed similar things where it's a lot more, I don't know, I guess a gentler, maybe a more empathetic approach as to the go do it my way or the highway kind of approach?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I have experienced both. Actually, I've been on sets where it's that, hey, hurry up, let's go, get it going. It's like super chaotic, out of control. And then I've also been on the sets where it's like, hey, okay, everybody, so we're getting ready, just very pleasant, very respectful, non-threatening. I've seen it on both ends, from the higher level with directors. I've also seen it with actors as well. You know, everybody wants to be around the pleasant actor, right? The one who treats the crew and cast nice, who speaks to everyone. Hey, I've been on some sets where the actors are just, what's the word? Just a-holes, completely. Just rude, nasty, just unnecessary, unnecessarily just evil. So I've been on both ends, and the ones I like are the ones where the directors are pleasant and the actors are pleasant and they're
Yeah.
engaging and they're friendly, because everybody, you want to create that environment. You want a good positive environment that's breeding good energy, just good positive vibes all the way. That's the mood and the vibe that I like to work in. I can work in the other. I have, but if I had to vote, I'm voting pleasant and positive energy all day.
How do you manage your time outside of, like, right now you're on a shoot, right? And so you have to, I mean, that's your prime focus, but you also have to fill the well. Like you don't want to go and focus only on this and come back and be like, now what am I going to do? Like, let me get back to
Yeah.
auditioning and bug my agent and all those things. How do you manage that? Because that's always seems scary to me. Like, you have to give your all, but you can't give all. You have to hedge a tiny bit at least, right?
Yeah, like you manage it. Like, I have a team, thank God, and that helps. But even when I didn't have a team, you still, you focus on that project, whether it's 9 to 5 or whatever your hours are. And then when I'm off of set, when I leave and go home, then I'm checked in where I need to be checked in, whether it's an audition or it's self tapes. I've been on this project since June, and whatever, September tomorrow, I've already had probably at least 15, 20 auditions for other projects. So I have to manage the time. Some of them, I'm on East Coast, so I'm 3 hours ahead of most of all of the auditions that have come in. So I find that balance, whether I have to do it in the morning very early or during lunch. But it is a fine balance. You do things to stay sane, whatever that is. I personally like listening to music and dancing. That keeps me
Right.
feng shui. See, it keeps me in the right headspace, mindset. My mental health is good, so I tend to do that to stay focused and grounded and on task. Yeah.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. Are you on an acting shoot or are you on a stunt shoot for you this time?
I'm doing both. Yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
So does it get you
So,
paid twice or get you paid more? Is that
you
do you
know,
have two jobs or one job?
I guess,
How does that work?
so technically it's like one job.
Okay.
Yeah. It's technically like one job because I'm myself, but I can do my own stunts.
So you can do your own stunts, but does that
Yeah.
get you paid more? I mean, like, does the union say, aha, this is job code 10 and not job code 2?
Yeah. There are codes involved, and there's negotiations involved for that because I can't do my own stunts. So, yes.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Does that make you more valuable as an employee to the director and producers, or does that like they really don't care if you do your own stunts or not?
I think I am more valuable that way. I've been on projects where I was hired because I could do my own stunts. Yeah, because they're looking at, wow, oh my God, yes. And I do acting. I'm hired on an acting job, and they're like, oh my God, yeah, Janesh, you can do your own stunts. Awesome, amazing. So I think it adds so much more value to me. It goes along with that whole multi-hyphenate that you were kind of talking about earlier. Yeah, for sure.
Is the workload more? Is it much more? Is it how do you manage that part?
I see the auditions coming, so I definitely think the workload becomes more. But that's a good thing, though. I do this because I love it, not because I'm forced to do it, not because I have to do it. I do it because I know I'm operating in my purpose, and so I don't mind the workload. I like being at the point where I know I'm on this project, and when this is done, I'm going over to somewhere else. Um, that's what I think I worked really hard for, and now I have reached that part in my career where that is happening, where jobs are lined up, and you start fixing the schedule. Like, okay, I'm available for these 2 days. I can go over there and work a day, or I can go over there and I'll be done here. I'm going over to the next project. So I think everything is aligning properly. I think I did everything the right way.
Yeah, this is a funny thing because so I talk to a lot of actors and sometimes
Yes.
they're actors slash mostly something else or whatever. But I
Yeah.
mean, obviously you're doing it. Like you're getting nominated for awards. You've got a crew of people. I always like to talk about like, are you giving away hats or do you wear all the hats yourself? Like, no, I'm my own marketing person. I'm my own PR. And God bless, you got to do what you got to do to get there, but you're above that. But when someone says they're an actor to you, and you go, yeah, I'm an actor. How do you suss out what level of actor? Like, oh no, really, I only make my living as an actor. Or, I mean, how do you figure out what that means? Because it's hard for me to know what it is, and I also don't want to insult anybody because they're on their journey, and I respect if they're doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mind my own business. I literally mind my own business. I
There's
really
that.
do.
Yeah.
I mind my own business. If you
Yeah.
say you do acting, that's great. I have no judgment on that because you can't tell me what I don't do. You can't put me in a box and say I only do stunts.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I actually started in this industry acting first. Because of my athletic background, I was doing a lot of jock roles. I
Yeah.
did so many Nike campaigns, so many different commercials for different athletic projects. And it was only because of my athletic background that I was able to make a smooth transition into stunts. So I embrace my multi-hyphenate. So if anyone says, hey, I do acting, I don't say, oh, let me see your credits. Let me see your IMDb.
Yeah.
Let me see. Like, I don't care. I don't care. You say you're an actor, you're an actor to me.
Good enough. Good enough. Yeah.
Good enough.
Yeah.
Good
I
enough.
suppose in my end of things, I have to have a qualifier so I know like
Oh,
who I'm talking to, right, and how I'm going to interview them. So it does matter to me. I'm not trying to assign a lower or higher value, but you know, maybe it's a different conversation. Let me ask you this: so
yeah.
the producer and director come up to you and they say, "You're really much better at stunts than we realized. What we like to do to you is, and then they fill in the blank, and you're like, not a chance. Because it must be alone for you, you know?
Okay, so I tell people, I know my limits. I am very honest. I am very blunt. Anybody that meets me or meets you that knows me, they will tell you. I consider myself a trained professional. I am not a daredevil. So if there is something that you that a director or someone comes to me with and I'm not comfortable with, I will tell them no in a heartbeat. I am not motivated by the money. I'm motivated by living another day. So I know my limits. I don't do motorcycle stunts. I don't do anything motorcycle. I don't do high falls over 30 feet. There's just some things that I don't do. Right. You can't dangle a check big enough for me to do that. But that's just me though. I'm very comfortable with saying no. Very, very comfortable.
What about horseback riding or driving and these kind of things? Do you do these things?
Oh yes, I do. I've done horse stuff before. I've done driving before. I've driven backwards. I've done a lot of driving commercials. Actually, I did a lot of driving commercials early on in my stunt career.
Nice.
Yes. So, yes. Motorcycles, no.
No. But you are an athlete and you do want to push yourself. So they're like, how about a 37-foot fall or whatever it is? Like, where do you want to push yourself and get better as a stunt person with that staying within your limits? But you're like, that's interesting to me. I'm willing to try that, you know?
Yeah, I'm always down for the martial arts.
Okay.
For tricking, as they call it, you know, twists and flips and stuff like that. I'm so down. And I challenge myself every day. I'm learning something new every day.
Right.
I just know my limits of what I'm not going to do because I just don't have an interest to do that. But as far as expanding on like my movement, flexibility, movement again, aerial awareness, things like that, for sure. You know, trampoline, you know, getting better at that, but always the martial arts and the fighting. I'm always down for it. Always love it. Yeah. Because that all helps with the choreography. Because more times, more likely than not, it's going to be something that's added in a piece of choreography where I have to do. Okay, I'll say this. So, and I've been working on this particular project that I'm working on now. Part of the choreography involves a Granby Roll. Well, I had never done a Granby Roll before. I didn't know what Granby Rolls were. But it's a wrestling thing, which is weird because I did wrestling, but I never heard of it. And it's this roll where you literally roll just on the top of your shoulder. That's it. No back, nothing. You roll on the top of your shoulder. And I learned that. And so that goes into what you just asked about, like challenging myself with those type of deals. Those type of things. Yeah.
So the director conducting says, hey, you're really good. You'll never be above 30 feet, but we want to shoot you. I know you're going to be a cop. We're going to shoot you out of a cannon to get you over an obstacle so you can arrest a bad guy. Never going to be above 30 feet. Big old airbag on the other end. Are you in?
I'm so in for that. Now, yes. That sounds like one hell of a time. I'm down.
Yeah. We're going to shoot you out of a cannon. Yes.
Yeah, I'm down. Okay, so I did a commercial for Walmart, and we were in the desert, and I was on a wire, and they flung me in the air like super high on a wire, and I was like holding like a gun or something. So when you said shoot me out of a cannon, I'm like, that's right up my alley. Like I'm so down for that.
Yeah. When I know we're getting a little bit silly, but I think it's fun because we don't get to talk to stunt folks enough.
Oh, I love it. This is great.
What about water stunts? Do you do those?
I have done a water stunt before. I'm actually working on some water stuff now on a project. But I was set on fire and then had to fall into a pool of water. Yeah. And into a swimming pool. And then I worked on a TV show where I had to dive in a lake and act like I was rescuing somebody out of a car that had fell in the lake. So I've done some water stuff before. Yeah.
It's each of these, and the thing is each of these things is a very specific and in its own right dangerous thing. That's why I'm kind of like going through the different silos because you know, if you're not good in the air, boy, it's hard to go flying through the air well, you know, and you can get hurt real fast, you know.
Very true. Yeah. And you always are on like your air awareness and your spotting, you know, when you're upside down, making sure you spot where you're going, where you need to land, which direction are your feet, your knees, things like that, because those little things matter. Just you changing your eye direction could change where your head goes, and then now you've landed all weird. So
yeah. And then you can't work because you're like, oh, I displaced my shoulder. You know?
Yeah.
What's the worst injury you've had?
Woo! The worst injury I've had would probably be when I did an backwards over the railing stair fall, and we were doing rehearsals, and construction was still setting up the set, but we were in there doing rehearsals. Well, my butt, when I went over backwards over the railing, my butt hit the pillar, and it burned the side of my left butt cheek. It was black, blue, red. Until this day, I still have a knot. And that was really bad. It burned the skin off. And that was rehearsals, and I still had to complete the job. And we still worked for 3 days. We shot for 3 days.
Yeah.
That was painful. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you think about that. Like, that's the thing, right? Like, it's a practice. You're not even doing it for reals yet. And you get this significant injury.
Yep.
And you still got to get paid because you haven't done the job yet. You know?
And you're still doing the work. And like, I did not realize just how fast I flew over the railing, but just how my body just slid across that pillar and just burned the hell out of my rear.
When you look at people's careers, and I think about these fantastic actors, there's just so many of them, you know, they play characters or whatever it is. And that's the level of their career, right? Like they get to being the person who plays this kind of a role. Yeah. And you look at their IMDb and it's like, you know, every procedural, a zillion things. They're busy all the time, but they never really get noticed outside of Hollywood, you know, going to the Ralphs late at night in Hollywood, you know, like, oh yeah, there goes what's his name, you know, whatever. Is that all right for you? Like if you wake up 25 years from now and you've been busy the entire time, does the celebrity matter?
The celebrity doesn't matter actually, because I know I'm operating in my purpose. So at the end of the day, I will have served my purpose. But I do know because I've served my purpose, the recognition will be there. Does that make sense? Because I'm so active in my purpose that I can't be unnoticed. Like I'm so big in my faith that you can't see me without seeing the faith. So I think it's one and the same for me. But the celebrity doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And I could guess that answer about just by talking to you, but it's something that we all need to hear because it's really easy to look down on someone that has on the surface this wonderful life because they're the star, the celebrity, but everybody's got problems and you don't want anybody else's problems, you know?
Not at all. And I tell people, you see my glory, but you don't see the story. You don't know what I went through. You don't know the sacrifices that I made, the private tumbling and gymnastic training that I would take 3 to 4 times a week before the gym opened, and then stayed an additional 2 to 3 hours after the gym opened just to work on what I worked on before the gym opened. Like you don't see that. You don't hear that. You don't see the sacrifices that I made staying late at night, training, falling, busting my ass. You don't see that. You just see the end result. You see, oh, that's Nomble from Falcon and Winter Soldier, or oh, that's you see that. You see, oh, that's JANESHIA from Black Panther. You don't see the nose that I was dealt. You don't see the emails that I sent to veterans who look like me reaching out for help and they returned with void. So you don't see any of that. But that's why I tell people also, never allow anyone to deter you from your dreams, your aspirations, and your goals. Because at the end of the day, you can accomplish whatever it is that you want to do. My route might not be the same as someone else's route because there is no right or wrong way to get to where you want to go. Like we kind of create our own luck. I don't have any family in this industry. I didn't come from parents that are coordinators or actors. I'm just a regular, normal person who did track and field, who grew up and said she wanted to be a sign language interpreter for deaf athletes, you know? And so I'm sitting here now, Emmy nominated, Stuntwoman, actress on
Right.
a TV show. So it's just amazing. But I'm literally only here because of my faith and persistence. My faith and persistence. That is
Right.
what got me here.
I love it. I
Yeah.
mean, this is one of the big things that I believe, and we've explored this quite a bit on this show, is regardless of any outside thing, because it turns out this just in, it's really hard to get into Hollywood and make a living doing it, you know, and the people that do quite often work like you do. You know, they're like before the gym, after the gym. The producer who also works out there is like, damn, is she here already?
Yeah.
Damn,
Yeah.
still here? That gets you jobs in this industry. And if you fix your end of the equation, then you can worry about some other, like, hey, I'm being held back for ethnicity, for race, or for class, or for whatever. But if you are doing all the work,
you put
right?
the work in. When I worked on the first Black Panther, the coordinator would tell you, we would have lunch. I would practice my bow staff during lunch. People would be eating their food. I was practicing my bow staff during lunch. Like, you put in the work. We went on our Christmas hiatus. I went to my best friend's house. Her husband, Coach K, he coaches at Oregon now. He made me a bow staff, a wooden bow staff that was heavier than the practice ones, so that I can use on my left hand because I'm right hand dominant. And I came back during Christmas hiatus and was like, literally the coordinator made an example like, oh my God, Janesh, like, I cannot believe it. My left was just as good, or almost probably better than my right hand. You got to put the work in. You put the hours in. You know, I think Kobe called it the Mamba mentality. Whatever. Everybody has their own little thing that they call it. Me, I call it mindset. Like, if I'm not doing it, then that means somebody else is out there doing it, and that's
Absolutely.
I'm doing it. You know, this is the journey I've created, and I got to operate in my purpose. So it's mindset.
If you're gonna whoop me, you're gonna have to outwork me. You know, that's sort of how I look at this thing. If you're gonna whoop me, you got to outwork me. Early on in this show history, we had one of our first guests was Sly Stone. You know, the great.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And he gave us so much wisdom, mostly off mic, because it's really hard to get him to talk on mic. But one of the things he said is, if my music isn't good enough, I don't deserve to eat. You're competing with that.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
The man takes his craft seriously.
Yes.
And that's how Hollywood is, though. I mean, I want to ask you the situation, the career situation, from a different point of view, because you have an artistic side. I mean, we haven't even talked really about the writing part, right? Yeah, because you're actually working with, as a stunt person, you're actually working as an actress, and so the writing stuff has to come along with it. But you know, working within those paradigms. If Young and the Restless came along and said, you know what, why don't you come in? No contract yet, but we think we're going to keep this character around, and you're going to have a 40-year, because we've had a couple of people that are multi-decade actors, you know, and as you know, the soap opera grind, those folks are pros. They work hard.
Yes, they are in it to win it, is what I say. Because you said Young and the Restless, and I almost got chills because that was my mom's like favorite soap opera. My whole family, actually, my mom, my aunts. I mean, if it wasn't Young and the Restless, it was Guiding Light and Bold and the Beautiful. So I know. So I was like, the soap opera life, it's a grind.
It's a grind, but you are a pro. You're never going to starve. We've had Kate Linder on the show. She, you know, and she came on as a day player, like, hey, you know, just come on to do this, and she stayed the whole time. You know, so she's still there, and so it's incredible. And these guys worked. This is how pro this is not for you. This is for the audience. This is how pro the soap people are. They worked through COVID. They're like, this stuff's got to go out. We're providing a service to people, and so they worked through COVID. Obviously, they were safe about it. But if you get that gig, you get that call, it does cost you some artistic expression because there's only so much time, you know?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I'm taking the call because it also shows, you know, being the artist where you can take direction. So it shows your flexibility. You know, it's also a learning process, right? Because at the end of the day, it's still collaboration, and that's what this is. It's just a big collaboration with people who are able to take direction. So that's how I take it.
How would you deal with the limitation on your time though, and then thus some limitation on your artistic creativity? You have to be very selective about what you're going to do in your downtime.
Very true, but that's called management. That's
Oh,
called understanding priority, and it's called life. So I would deal with it. That's called being professional, actually.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's called being professional, and I would address it and attack it in just that way.
All right, I want to go back to stunt top
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah.
Okay, so when you're there, if you're just doing stunts, no acting, how long are you on the shoot? If it's like a 3 week shoot, how many days are you working actually on the set, sitting there, waiting for the rigging to get set up? And how long does that take out of that 3 weeks?
It varies by production because you don't know. Uh, I don't know what that would be if I'm 3 weeks on a movie or 3 weeks on a TV show or 3 weeks on a commercial. A lot of this business is hurry up and wait. Everyone says that hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait. They get you ready at 5 o'clock in the morning with your hair and makeup, and then you're done by 9, but then you don't shoot until 2, right? So then I could shoot at 2 and be done at 2:30, or I could shoot at 2 and be done at 8 p.m. at night. So you just don't know.
Yeah.
It definitely depends on the stunt, whether it's wires or it can just be a simple pratfall, falling off a chair, falling. It varies honestly from project to project.
And when you're just on stunts, how familiar with the script are you? I mean, you don't need to know the lines on page 1, but you're also an actress. So can you put that script down?
So I get this question a lot. There's times where I don't even see the script. A lot of times where I don't see the script. But I've been given the information and the details of what is, my responsibility as a stunt performer through my coordinator. My coordinator has probably already informed me on, hey, Janesha, so it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a short fight sequence, short action sequence, or hey, you're going to get kicked down this hill. So my coordinator has already given me some of the details of what's involved, what I got to do. So yeah. So sometimes, the script isn't necessary. I just need to know, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? Who's in the scene with me?
Right.
Is it self-motivated? Am I on a wire? Things like that. And if you're on a wire and if there's any rigging involved, then the riggers are definitely going to communicate with you. And every rigger I've been, that I've had to deal with on set has been amazing. They are very detailed and they tell me what's going on, what's expected. And I always feel safe because I won't do anything if I don't feel safe anyway. But I've always felt safe.
Yeah, because they're all pros out there. But the other thing is how much acting do you do if you're just doing stunts? How much acting goes into that? Because sometimes you've got to twirl your arms so that you can control your body in the air, but there are elements of acting in all of these things.
Yeah, this is a great question. I actually consider yes, with the question.
I always celebrate those.
Yeah, I consider myself, I think I said it earlier, an action actor. So my stunts it's me action acting. So how much acting is involved? It's all involved because I still am, especially if I'm doubling, or even if I'm not doubling, it's action acting. I still have to continue. I can't do the action and then once I land, just be like, okay, I'm done. No, I'm still in the scene. I'm still in the moment. I'm still that character. So everything is acting, whether I'm doing the action acting or just dialogue, until my director tells me cut. That's how I do it. Action, boom, 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 do it, fall, fly in the air, flail, scream, until cut.
One of the best stories we've ever heard from actors on the show, and things that just happen, right? There's a couple of them, but the one I'm going to tell is Zach Ward. Zach Ward, he played Scut Farkas in The Christmas Story, right? And they're all little kids. And so he wasn't as established as the kid that plays the toady kid, the little small kid. But when he showed up, he's like 4 feet tall. The other kid's like 3 feet tall. And so they're like, this isn't going to work. And so they rewrote their roles to make Scut Farkas this more. And here's the other thing that happened. they
Wow.
didn't have merchandise rights for his role because he was going to be just a secondary kid player, and then he turned into this thing, and so people started making, you know, toys in his image, and so he had to
Yeah.
do that. So these things happen where you know, you're standing around, and all of a sudden, what you were going to do becomes something bigger because of, I mean, always because of preparation. But
Yeah.
what's happened to you like that, where you showed up and what you thought you were doing turned into something much bigger?
Let's just say Panther.
Okay.
I
I mean,
will
that's pretty big.
say, yeah, I will say Black Panther. It's so funny when you talked about the preparation. You made me think about what my mom told me growing up. She always said proper preparation prevents poor production, and I think with Black Panther, the preparation that I had set previously with the training, the just the hard work, the consistency, all of that prepared me for that opportunity that presented itself. And from that, doors started opening. From Panther,
Mm.
I was on Avengers, Infinity War, Endgame, went to over to WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier. So proper preparation does prevent poor production, and it leads to doors that open. But I will say Panther because I knew that that was an amazing project. It's Marvel, so you already expect it to do well, but it exceeded my expectations by leaps and bounds. And I didn't expect to see people doing um oh my god, I can't think of it, when they dress up in different characters, cosplay. Like I would go to Comic Cons and I would see people cosplay like my character with the tattoo over the right side of the face, just like how it is in the movie. Like I did not expect that. So I said Panther for that reason. You know, for me
Yeah.
having to shave my head, being bald, and the reception, like the way people receive that, I just did not expect that. But going to Comic Cons and seeing people dressed as my character with the tattoo over the right side of the face, just how I have it in the movie, amazing, jaw dropping,
Yeah.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
That's super cool. That's super cool.
Yeah.
Another one of the people that we've had on as an actor is a guy named Dominic Santana. And he just stands in the room and he looks like Suge Knight. So anytime anybody's like, we're going to do something with Suge Knight, they're like, hey, who's that kid? And so he becomes that guy, right? But he literally got like started making more money because he stood there as an extra and then went, what is that? That thing is
Yeah.
huge. And he
Yeah.
went from being an extra to like, no, you got to come over here and you're actually an actor now. And so again, he worked hard to get in the room. I mean, his presence is one thing, but how many actors survive on presence and what they, when they show up and what they are, no matter what they do, like their truth is built in their physicality. And you just,
Totally.
you know, and when those people show up for something, they're like, oh, wait, hold on. You're a totally different thing. Get over here. We have a role for you.
Yeah. But it could be energy too, because I mean, there's a lot of tall people in the world, but not all of them play basketball, right?
Yeah.
So I think it has a lot to do with the energy. And he's probably giving energy like, I'm meant to be here. Like, this is my destiny. It's part of my purpose. So I think it's energy too, and accepting the energy and putting out that energy and making everyone feel that energy. You know, you can feel a bad person's energy from a mile away.
Yeah.
It works in reverse too. Good energy as well. So yeah.
We had Vinny. So I'm a veteran. My buddy Scott, who does the show with me a lot, is a veteran. And we had Vinny Rocco Vargas on the show, and he's an actor on the Mayans. And he's also, by the way, still in the Army and has a zillion kids, but he was not. And I'm going to say this very carefully because I don't mean in any way to disrespect or not value what he does. He was not an actor when he showed up and got this role. He ended up really, and I think he says it, he was in over his head. He's like, oh my gosh, all these guys can act. But he looked the part. All he had to do was really deliver what was there. And then he's like, now I got to hurry up in my side time and get caught up on this acting thing. Right. What are your thoughts on that?
So my thoughts on that is sometimes, you know, we create our own luck. He created his own luck by just being there, but he's becoming a student of the sport.
Yeah.
Which is, oh God, I'm in this position. What do I do to make myself better? What do I do to complement this blessing that I have just received? And becoming a student of the sport, taking the acting class is exactly what you're supposed to do. When you're given the opportunity, you seize it. right?
Right.
So because he's gonna capitalize on it at acting classes, now he becomes that much better. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say the same. You know, for me with Black Panther, I didn't know bow staff before Black Panther, but God dog it, I know it now. I do
Yeah.
double-handed. I do double-handed bow staff. You know,
Yeah.
so it's what do you do with those opportunities that you get?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you're walking by faith, you're gonna get opportunity. Doors are gonna open. So now, when you get those blessings, you capitalize on it, and you further you make things happen. So yeah.
No, you're right about that, and I truly believe that athletes and service members
Yes.
are fantastic if they have the capability and the desire. If all those things are there, the way you all are programmed, so like I'm going to learn bow staff. The physicality is not going to be a problem. This is going to be a 3-week problem, and I'm going to be significantly better.
Yep.
Because, and I'm always going to know my lines. That's not possible for me to show up without knowing. And I know you see people that don't know their lines, you know.
Exactly. But no, you're right. It's the athletes and the servicemen who come with a level of discipline that is matched by no other. Like we have a discipline, we have the whole routine and knowing what you have to do to stay on top, the accountability that's involved. You know, I love talking to athletes and service people because there's a different dialogue that you have with people who accept responsibility, accountability, and are driven. You just do. I can't have the same conversation with someone that's not driven. I just can't. So, yeah, it's different. It's mindset.
Yeah. So you're a track. You were track and field, right? Were you track or were you field?
I did track and field. I did the hurdles and the heptathlon, which is I was a multi-eventer, so I was like a little Jackie Joyner-Kersee.
Right.
And I went to UC Berkeley. Go Bears, Cal, blue and gold. Yes. Yeah.
Heptathlon's a badass thing, and I think we should do more tathlons. You know, I think there should be something that's not a track and field decathlon. You know, so many sports. This is just me on a rant here, but so many sports test your VO2 max, which doesn't make you special and through your effort. It makes you special because of genetics, right? And so if you took the world's fastest person, and by the way, the world's fastest person at 100 meters, now go run 800 meters and let's see if you're the fastest, because you won't be, you know, because 800 that's all guts, you know. I mean, you know what it's like to run 800, you know what it's like to run a mile, you know.
I do.
Being the fastest is only something. And now, so let's take Usain Bolt and throw him in a pool and then throw him on a trampoline.
And yeah, exactly. It's
right. I would love to see that. And I love it that you do that.
But I was laughing when you said the genetics part, because I did the ancestry.com and I did 23andMe. And so they have 23andMe has this thing where you can test and get results from other trait characteristics. And so on 23andMe, it said that I have DNA that is found in most power elite athletes. Yeah.
See, there you go.
I just wanted to share that.
No, that's great. Okay, so I'm going to get back to the team thing, though. So you're a track and field athlete, and yes, there's some team things because there's the team meet part of it, but really, it's mostly isolation, right? Like you have to go. Even in a relay, 99% of what you do is on your own. Like you've got to go do this, you've got to go train. Nobody can, you know, it's all you. Is that different than the team sport people, you think? Or what are your thoughts on team versus individual sports?
Okay. So yeah, track is very much an individual sport outside of relays. You're absolutely right. In teams. And I did a team sport. I did volleyball.
Did you really? Okay.
I did volleyball in high school. What do I like better? What do I prefer? I feel like I'm all about like responsibility and accountability. So track seems cool to me because at the end of the day, it's you in your lane. You're going against the clock. It has nothing to do with anybody else. You know, volleyball, it's kind of like, hey, if one person messes up, if they missed that middle block. Now you're down the point, you lose the game, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the responsibility it's for the team, but it doesn't always have to be that the team made you lose, right? It could just be one player who's just really off that day, and now the team suffered the loss. But for track, it's like, hey, I'm in my lane. I'm in lane 5. I got to run my hurdles. It's up for me to go against that clock. I can't blame anybody else. If I had a bad start, that was me. So I think that's how I look at it. Did that answer your question?
No, I think so, and I think it gets to the acting part of it, because when you are doing 1 or 2 laps of low hurdles, or however many laps it's going to be, you're doing equal pace. You all have a pretty good idea of where you're going to finish, about what your time will be and what that equals, and there's really not a whole lot you can do to change that. Even on a great day, you're talking half a second, different in a lot of races.
But think about the relay. Like, let's get back to the relay.
Yeah.
So the relay, right? You got 4 people who have to pass this baton around the track. Well, we can have the best, fastest 4 people on paper, but God dog it, if you don't know how to get that baton around, you're not going to win. Somebody's to blame. You know what I mean? Somebody is to blame. Versus you have the 4 fastest people, and the one person can be individually great and win. But you put that person with 3 other people who take off too early, too late, don't pass the baton in the zone. Now you're DQ'd. So
yeah, I love that swimming has so many events. That's why Michael, what's his name? Yeah, Phelps becomes the greatest Olympian ever, because there's just so many damned events. So if you were going to add an event that's not in track and field commonly now, okay, look, obviously we could do mixed quads, 4x4, 4x1. We can do
right. Yes.
But I mean something truly unique, and I'm going to tell you mine first, then you can go. There was a race I did in high school called Devil Takes the Hindmost, and everybody starts on the back straightaway, and then you run, right? And then you go around the track twice, and as you come around, anybody in the back, there was a chase team that wasn't part of the race. They were not competitors. They were like free radicals, and they would come up and they would touch you with this stick. And once you got touched with that stick, if you didn't pass somebody and get in front of somebody and you got touched again, you were out of the race. So there were a lot of people in the race, but it was chaos. And they thinned the herd, and it was a really remarkable way to cause you to. It affected pacing tremendously, because if you were towards the back like I was, you're like, I have to make this, and you're passing guys, and they're trying to, and it was crazy. So that would be my races. A Devil Takes the Hindmost race. What would you want to add to track and or field?
Oh my gosh. Event. If I had, to add, oh my goodness, I'm trying to think. Okay, so you already have like this jumping over high things, like high jump. Oh my gosh, I don't know. This is a hard one, because I'm thinking of some crazy things. I'm like, add the box jumps out there, have people doing box jumps, running into like I don't know.
So like an obstacle course kind of event? Is that what you're saying?
It would be obstacle course for sure. Oh, you know what? Thank you. Okay, so let's say if I had to do it, it would be an obstacle course where, so how for the heptathlon, you do the individual events and you stay with that event and then you move on to the next. I would probably make it the heptathlon where you do right one after another. From running the hurdles, you run right into the 200 meters. You pick up your javelin, you throw the javelin, then you go over the shot put, hit the shot put, run to long jump over the long jump too. So I would continue everything. It's 7 events that would be continued all the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who finishes that one right after the other?
Right. Or maybe you get 5 hours to finish the whole thing at your pace and distance and everything, or whatever it is. Right. I love it. Yeah. I love it. I want to briefly. I want to talk to the writer part of your brain. We haven't gotten to that part yet. What are you working on? What are you getting made?
So I write plays. I started. I wrote 2 movies actually in 2014, and that was during a time where work was a little bit slow for me, and I wanted to create my own content. I was like, you know what? I don't have to wait for anyone to hire me. I could create my own content. And I know how to write. I majored in linguistics. I know how to put words together and figure out the semantics and all of that stuff. So let's do that. So I wrote those 2 movies, but then fast forward, it was in 2017, I started writing plays, and I performed the one particular play a couple times. I wrote some skits and stuff for my church for the drama ministry. I started doing that. And then I wrote a second play and was taking that on tour. We performed it a couple times. We were meant to go to Oakland and perform it in 2020, and then COVID happened. So, but yeah, I enjoy writing. I'm very creative. I'm able to put stuff down on paper, and I'm always making sure that I like to write educational things. So my plays always have an educational component to it. I like to merge laughter and education. So
I love it.
Yeah. Because I feel like people receive information when they're laughing better than when they're not. So my projects always have some type of humor involved, but you're definitely leaving there with some new knowledge. So
I love it.
Yes.
Listen, I've had you for an hour, and you've taken a zillion questions about all kinds of ridiculous stuff, like being shot out of a cannon and everything. But you've been great. Is there anything else you want to cover before we go?
No, I think we covered it all. Again, I just want to say thank you for having me. This is awesome, and I am Emmy nominated. I'm an Emmy nominated stunt woman and actress, and I literally was sitting here just because I decided to stay persistent, not give up, and not let anyone's no stop me. So yes, that is why I'm here. Yeah.
Keep working hard. All right, let me run this thing. Stand by.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for watching the show. I really appreciate it. Right here, you can subscribe. Please do that. It makes the show grow. Hit that notification bell so you know which incredible guest is coming up next. Down below is the PayPal link. You can put a small subscription in. That is an enormous help. All that money goes right back into the show. And then right up over here are the next episodes you should listen to, curated by yours truly. Thank you so much.